Okay, beta. So officially, this is our first lecture of AS Physics. इससे पहले I have already conducted 2 orientation sessions related to A levels physics or AS Physics 9702. So if you want the recording of that orientation session, that is already uploaded on YouTube publicly. So you can, go and access that recording. So आज की क्लास में the target is we will cover section 2 of chapter 1, that is physical quantities and units. So beta, section 1 क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? Because that section 1 has nothing to be understood. Each and everything you have to remember. Like, let me show you. These are the reasonable estimates which I discussed in the orientation session. And I just only discussed, there is nothing to be understood. So, वो तमाम के तमाम estimated reasonable estimates मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. This is how you can see those reasonable estimates. So, beta, in reasonable estimates, there are altogether around more than 60 reasonable estimates. So you have to remember all these reasonable estimates. But I'm giving you a timeline. How you have to remember all these. Just divide all of them in the weeks. For example, our syllabus will be completing in 8 months. 8 months will be having 32 weeks. 60 divided by 32, you'll have your answer. That means, अगर आप इस तरीके से चलते हैं, तो you just have to remember 2 reasonable estimates each week. That is how it will make your life less miserable. But for sure, you have to remember. Okay, beta? So, this is why I'll not spend my time discussing these reasonable estimates. I just gave you a game plan that how will you be remembering these all reasonable estimates. If I saying, is there a physics discussion group? It is not, but it will be made as soon as possible. Now, beta, we have to start our chapter or our today's discussion from here. Okay. So beta, when you talk about fundamental quantities, what are fundamental quantities? Is there any other name of fundamental quantities? Yes, beta, fundamental quantities can also be called as base quantities. And these are all the quantities जिनके ऊपर पूरी की पूरी physics की बुनियाद है. ठीक है? If you're talking about the fundamental quantities, there are in total of 7. But as far as A level syllabus is concerned, AS में 5 fundamental quantities are talked about, the same fundamental quantities which we talked in O levels. Or A2 में there is an additional fundamental quantity which will be talked about. So these are the 5 fundamental quantities जो कि आपने AS में पढ़नी है. Length denoted by L, having SI unit meter. Mass kilogram. Time second. Electric current ampere. Temperature Kelvin. So these are the 5 fundamental quantities which are in the AS syllabus. So a student asks, so you mentioned there is one additional quantity which should be in A2. Which is that? What is that quantity? It's amount of substance. You must have had that quantity in, I think, chemistry O levels. So amount of substance, that is mole. वो आपने A2 में एक additional पढ़नी है. That is how it all together becomes 6 fundamental quantities. Okay, beta? So, what are these? Base quantities. So, what do you think I should call these units? क्या कहूं इन यूनिट्स को, क्या नाम दूं इन यूनिट्स को? One more thing, if you guys are sending message, तो send message on the account chat hyphen Muiz Ahmad. That account is basically in front of me and I can highlight the answers you are giving me in the live class like this. Yes, Ifra, they are SI units, but right now it's better to call them base units because these are the base quantities. So that is why the unit they are having, though they are SI units, but for now, let's call them base units. So the base units are the SI units of base quantities. Okay, beta? Now move ahead. The base units are the SI units of fundamental या base quantities. So in our syllabus, as far as AS is concerned, meter, kilogram, second, ampere, Kelvin. Only these 5 are the base units for us. ठीक है बेटा, सिर्फ ये 5 हमारे लिए base units है. Okay? Cool. Now there are a lot of questions you'll find in examinations or you'll find in past papers that examiner will give you a quantity. An examiner will ask you to break down that quantity into base units. So I'll teach you the way through which you can break down the quantities in base units. Though I have already taught this in the orientation session, but since this topic is very much important, so I have to recall it so that the ones who did not took the orientation session, they can have the session, they can have this concept once again. And the things are as crystal as possible. Okay, so move ahead. शुरू करते हैं बेटा. There are steps. मैंने कुछ steps बनाए to make your task a bit easy. And these steps are, first of all, whichever quantity you want to break it down to base units, उसका आपको formula पता होना चाहिए. You need to know the formula. Okay? So, who knows the formula for speed or, for instance, velocity? Who knows the formula?
Sir, distance upon time.
Distance upon time. Perfect. So speed can be written as distance upon time. Or velocity, in that case, is displacement upon time. So similarly, anyone knows the formula for acceleration? The formula for acceleration. Yeah, it's v minus u upon t. Acceleration is v minus u upon t. What is this? The difference of velocity. So I can write the difference of velocity as this as well. Delta v is the difference of velocity. Okay, beta. Similarly, let me include one more quantity, that is force. Anyone knows the formula for force? F equals to
MA.
MA. Perfect. F equals to MA. So we followed step 1 of the concept for these 3 quantities. Okay? सबसे पहले मैंने क्या किया? I have written down the formula. Okay? Now we need to move toward step number 2. And step 2, हमें क्या करना है बेटा? Simplify the quantity to base quantity. We need to break down the quantities until all the quantities are under these 5 quantities. ठीक है, मुझे उस वक्त तक अपनी क्वांटिटीज को सिंप्लीफाई करना है जब तक लेंथ, मास, टाइम, इलेक्ट्रिक करंट या टेम्परेचर के डोमेन में मुझे क्वांटिटी ना मिल जाए. हाउ वी डू दिस, लेट्स सी. बेटा डिस्टेंस is already falling under the domain of length. So it's a base quantity. Time itself a base quantity. तो यहाँ पे already हमारा दूसरा step that simplify the quantity to base quantities fulfill हुआ हुआ है. But here velocity is not a base quantity. We have to break down velocity into distance over time or displacement over time. Displacement upon time. तो velocity को break down किया, we got displacement over time. While this t can be written as it is. Now, length, base quantity. Time, base quantity. So all the quantities right now we are having are base quantities. So we have applied step number 2 on acceleration as well. Now move ahead. Force. Beta mass is a fundamental quantity, base quantity. जबकि acceleration is not a base quantity. So step number 2 क्या कहता है? You need to simplify the quantities until you have the base quantities. Ayan, it's the official first class of AS. Since you can see, जब हम ओरिएंटेशन कर रहे होते थे तो लेक्चर 00 लिखा हुआ होता था. This is lecture 01. That means the first lecture will be on aired on YouTube. Okay. So mass is a base quantity. Velocity is not. Break down the velocity into displacement upon time. So velocity को displacement upon time में break down कर दिया. While this time can be written as it is. So I followed step number 2 on speed, acceleration, and force. Okay, beta. Now, step number 3, replace base quantities with base units. अब जो क्वांटिटी है उसका मुझे बेस यूनिट रिप्लेस करना है. तो बेटा डिस्टेंस का बेस यूनिट होगा मीटर, टाइम का बेस यूनिट होगा सेकंड, डिस्टेंस का बेस यूनिट मीटर, टाइम का बेस यूनिट सेकंड, दूसरे टाइम का भी बेस यूनिट सेकंड. सिंस बेसेस आर सेम, पावर कैन बी एडेड, तो मीटर पर सेकंड स्क्वायर. मास का बेस यूनिट किलोग्राम, डिस्टेंस मीटर, टाइम सेकंड, तो केजी एम बेसिस सेम, पावर एड एस स्क्वायर. ठीक है. So this is how we followed step number 3 as well in speed, velocity, and acceleration and force. Last step. No base unit should fall under denominator. कोई भी base unit आपका denominator में नहीं जाना चाहिए. So in that way, this has power 1. When this moves up, it becomes inverse. So ms minus 1. So ms minus 1 is the base unit of speed or velocity. Okay. Similarly, ms minus 2 is the base unit of acceleration. And similarly, nothing in the denominator, kg ms minus 2 is the base unit of force. So I just solved 3 quantities and I broken down these 3 quantities into base units according to the steps I design. Now, questions. If you are not sure, or if you have any question related to what we have did, you can ask your question by raising your hand, or you can write in the chat box. But do send message on chat-muisaman. That account is in front of me. Cool. तो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Work. Formula for work, beta. What do you think is the formula for work? F into D, GIR. So work can be written down as W equals to F into D. Now, do one thing. G कहा, G फरवा, बिल्कुल ठीक. Do one thing. Remember the base unit of speed or velocity as ms minus 1. Remember the base unit of acceleration is ms minus 2. And remember the base unit of force as kg ms minus 2. Because these three base units are the ones which will be used most in this topic. तो आप इन्हें याद कर लें, so that you don't have to stretch the simplification process further. Force देखें, you don't have to break it down into MA. Then A को break down करें delta V over T. Then delta V को break down करें D over T. You don't have to do. If you see force, just write down right away the base unit of force as kg ms minus 2. Okay? So that is why I'm asking you to remember these three base units. These three base units will pave your path to break down any physical quantity into base units. Okay, beta? Similarly, now we have understood, or we have remembered the base unit of force. So what I'm doing, kg ms minus 2, I have written right away for force, while for distance or displacement, meter. Base is same, power adds. And in that way, kg m square s minus 2. So this is what we got as a base unit of work. Understood? Now, beta, area. So whenever we explain area, we need to assign area with the shape. So any idea? किस shape की बात कर रहे हैं? Circle, rectangle, triangle, किस shape की बात कर रहे हैं? Whatever you say. Okay, area के लिए we have to specify the shape. Square. Okay. So if you talk about the area of a square, Ifra, that is L square or D square or H square is the area of a square. Similarly, Taha, if you talk about the area of rectangle, its length into breadth. Similarly, if you talk about the area of triangle, is half base length into height. Now, very important thing. The base units are only placed with the quantities. Half is not a quantity, so it will not be having any unit. So, length, of course, base quantity है. Breadth भी length के ही domain में आती है base quantity. Similarly, breadth और height भी length के ही domain में आते हैं base quantity है. In every way, the area will be left with the base unit of meter square. Okay? So the base unit of area is meter square. Okay, beta? Now, what about volume? The three-dimensional discussion is volume. So when we talk about volume, what we do, let's assign the shape here as well. Let's talk about a sphere. The volume of a sphere is 4 upon 3 pi r cube. Here, number, no unit. Pi 3.142, number, no unit. Radius, किसके डोमेन में आएगा? लेंथ के, मास के, टाइम के, किस डोमेन में आएगा रेडियस? This radius, length, yes. So length as a unit, meter, while it is cube, so meter cube. This is how beta we simplified the base unit of volume. Now, no matter which shape you are talking about, area will be having the base unit as meter square, and volume will be having the base unit as meter cube. No matter which shape you are talking about. Understood? Okay. So the next quantity we have is pressure. Anyone remembers the formula for pressure? What do you think is the formula for pressure? Or by saying force upon area. Yeah, it's the formula for pressure. So right now, if we talk about force upon area, so here pressure equal to F upon E. Luckily, we remember the base unit for force, that is G ms minus 2. And we just formulated the base unit of area, that is meter square. Step, nothing in the denominator. आयान ने एक जवाब दिया है, let's see ये जवाब सही है कि नहीं. G m ऐसे ही रहा, this m minus 2 moves up and s minus 2 remains same. When bases are same, power adds up. So 1 minus 2 becomes minus 1. So Ayan, you wrote kg m minus 1 s minus 2. जी Ayan, बिल्कुल ठीक है. Okay, I'll come back to the pressure concept once again after having some more base units of certain quantities. Now, density. When we talk about density, you need to know the formula for density as well, which is density equals to mass over volume. Mass is the base quantity, and we just formulated some minutes ago the base unit for volume. Kg is for mass and meter cube is for volume. Nothing in the denominator, Kgm minus 3. Okay. Yes. So this is the base unit of density. Now, anyone knows the formula for moment or torque, which you say in A levels, O levels or IGCSE में हम सिर्फ moment कहते थे. But now we are in A levels, we can call that quantity to be torque as well. So these are the same things. मतलब एक ही चीज के दो नाम है. So do you know what is the formula for moment? Determining effect of force का formula. No one knows the formula for moment. Moment is the product of force and perpendicular distance. Remember? So moment equals to F into D. We memorize the base unit of force kgms minus 2 and the base unit of perpendicular distance or distance is meter. This is same, power adds kg m square s minus 2. That is the base unit of moment, or which you call in A level as torque. Cool. Okay, beta. Any idea about the formula for power? Power can be defined as, sorry, can you repeat? IV. Okay, you can also define power as IV. And I'll explain you that how can you have your base units with the formula IV. But first of all, we need to talk about the basic formulas. Okay, IV, electrical power. First, let's talk about the basic formula of power. Then I'll take you towards electrical power, IV. So power is the rate of doing work. Power is work upon time. This is the basic formula for power. Work itself is F into D. And time ऐसे ही लिखती है. We remember the base unit of force, kgms minus 2, the base unit of distance or displacement, and the base unit of time. Okay? Base is same, power adds. And nothing in the denominator इसे ऊपर लेकर आए. kg m square s minus 2. And जब ये ऊपर आएगा तो -1 एक और आ जाएगा. Hence it becomes kg m square s minus 3. This is the base unit of power. Now, how many of you have remembered or how many of you memorized itself कि section 1 जनरल फिजिक्स में हम लोगों ने एक टॉपिक पढ़ा था डिफॉर्मेशन, और उस टॉपिक में एक लॉ था which was called as Hooke's law. So what was the formula for Hooke's
Force
law?
is equal to spring constant times the elasticity.
Exactly. F equals to K E. So K will become, that is the Hooke's constant, F upon E. Okay, beta? F equals to K, so K is F upon E. Ayan, you need to add something. You raised your hand.
नहीं, मेरे पास एक क्वेश्चन था पावर से रिलेटेड. पावर इज इक्वल टू वर्क डिवाइडेड बाय टाइम. सर मैं अगर इसको एनर्जी लिखता हूँ तो बात तो एक ही हो गई ना?
बिल्कुल एक हो गई.
सही है, यही क्वेश्चन था.
Because they have same base units. I'll prove it here. When I find out the base units of kinetic energy, you'll have the same units as where is work as work. So whichever energy you talk about, हर energy का base unit work के बराबर होगा. That is why we can replace work by energy or energy by work. I'll show you. So force as a base unit kgms minus 2. while extension lies under the domain of length, a meter. And as you can see, meter cancels out with meter, so it is left with kg s minus 2. So this is the base unit of Hooke's law, Hooke's constant. Cool. Kinetic energy. Anyone remembers the formula for kinetic energy?
Half mv square.
G Amatul. Kinetic energy can be written as half mv square. So half is number, no unit. M is mass, so kg. And v is speed or velocity, which is ms minus 1. Since the v is having a square, so let me put square on ms minus 1 altogether by putting the bracket, so that I can make sure this square should go towards meter and second as well. Okay, beta? So kg remains as it is. Meter, when received, the square becomes meter square, and s minus 1 becomes s minus 2. So see, I told you work kb a unit m, kg m square s minus 2. Similarly, हमारे पास kinetic energy की भी ये unit है kg ms minus 2. Sorry, m square s minus 2. That is why work and energy can be replaced. Just to make this concept a bit more clear, मैं आप लोगों को दो एनर्जी के बेस यूनिट और निकाल के दिखाता हूं. जी बेटा, the formula for gravitational potential energy.
Rho gh.
दूसरा जवाब आया mgh, वो ठीक है. पहला जवाब जो ρgh आया, that is the pressure among liquids, जो अभी मैं सॉल्व करवाऊंगा. When you talk about gravitational potential energy, it's mgh. M means mass, यानी kilogram. G means acceleration of free fall. But जिस तरह किसी भी तरह की एनर्जी हो, सबके बेस यूनिट सेम रहते हैं, उसी तरह whether you talk about normal acceleration, whether you talk about acceleration of free fall, they have the same unit, that is ms minus 2. And the unit of height is meter. See, you are again left with the same unit which you formulated for kinetic energy, kg m square s minus 2. Now, one more energy is being written as a strain energy, जो आपने O levels में नहीं पढ़ी थी. ये टॉपिक AS में पढ़ाया जाता है. तो when I'll be teaching you the strain energy, तब उसके बारे में डिटेल में बात करेंगे. For now, you are having this concept for the first time. Let me tell you the formula for strain energy. So strain energy can be written as half Fe. Half force times extension is the elastic potential energy or strain energy. So half is number, no unit. F is force, we memorized, kg ms minus 2. And E is extension, meter. See, once again, kg m square s minus 2. So with that, let me explain you if the nature of the quantity is not changing. You named energy. Now, it can be any energy, but the base unit will remain same. Okay? Similarly, भले friction हो, भले weight हो, भले फॉरवर्ड फोर्स हो, भले बैकवर्ड फोर्स हो, अगर वो फोर्स है तो उसके बेस यूनिट kgms-2 ही रहेंगे। ठीक बेटा? ओके, नाउ अब मैं थोड़ा सा आपको पीछे लेकर जाता हूं और जो अभी जवाब मिला था रो जी एच, प्रेशर के उस फॉर्मूला से प्रेशर का बेस यूनिट निकालना सिखाता हूँ। यू विल सी, जो हम लोगों ने एफ अपॉन ए से प्रेशर का बेस यूनिट निकाला है वही बेस यूनिट रो जी एच भी देगा हमें। तो हियर वी से दैट प्रेशर इज रो जी एच। रो इज डेंसिटी, बेस यूनिट kgm-3, g is acceleration of free fall, base unit ms-2, acceleration वाले unit, और h height, base unit meter. So now gs, it is लिखा m-3, m+1, m+1. So what will happen? 1-3 + 1 + 1, जबकि s-2 ऐसे ही लिख दिया, so it becomes g m-1 s-2. दिस इज हाउ आपने देखा प्रेशर का बेस यूनिट ये बना। पहले भी तो ये निकाला था। वंस अगेन द नेचर ऑफ द क्वांटिटी इज सेम, सो बेस यूनिट रिमेन सेम। ठीक है बेटा? अब आप कोई सा भी प्रेशर का फॉर्मूला लेकर आ जाए, हमारे बेस यूनिट यही रहेंगे। ठीक है बेटा? तो क्लियर टिल हेयर? यहाँ तक कोई सवाल, कोई इशू, कोई चीज ऐसी जो समझ ना आई हो, वी कैन गो थ्रू इट वंस अगेन। ओके ईमान, ठीक है अयान, भूला मत करिए। Now, Young's modulus, it's a new quantity. जो AS में जब मैं आपको पढ़ाऊंगा डिफॉर्मेशन, तो वहां पे पढ़ेंगे। सिंस ये क्वांटिटी आपने पहले नहीं पढ़ी है तो मैं डायरेक्टली आपको इसका फॉर्मूला बता रहा हूँ। यंग्स मॉड्यूलस इज रिटन बाय कैपिटल E and the formula is FL/AE. F is force, L is length, A is cross sectional area, E is extension. So फोर्स हो गया तो kgms-2, लेंथ हो गया तो मीटर, एरिया हो गया तो मीटर स्क्वायर, एंड एक्सटेंशन है मीटर। तो 1 मीटर से 1 मीटर कट गया, एंड kgm की पावर 1, जब ये ऊपर आएगा तो पावर -2 भी साथ लगेगी, s-2। तो kgm-1 s-2 is the base unit of Young's modulus. Okay, so अब कोई ऐसी क्वांटिटी आ रही है which we are familiar with, हम जानते हैं इस क्वांटिटी को, and that quantity is basically charge. So how do you define charge? What is the formula for charge? जी आयान।
और सर मेरे पास यंग मॉड्यूलस से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन था।
हाँ पूछो।
सर यंग मॉड्यूलस स्ट्रेस डिवाइडेड बाय स्ट्रेन नहीं होता?
This is stress divided by this is strength. ठीक है?
अच्छा सही।
जब आप इसको
स्ट्रेन,
सिंप्लीफाई करेंगे तो यही बनेगा।
सही। तो स्ट्रेन के पास यूनिट्स होते हैं, क्योंकि जहाँ
No.
तक मैंने पढ़ा था लोगों ने बोला था स्ट्रेन के पास नहीं यूनिट्स होते हैं।
हाँ, क्योंकि दोनों लेंथ के डोमेन है ना,
कैंसिल
तो
जी,
मीटर ओवर
कैंसिल आउट हो
मीटर
जाता है।
कैंसिल आउट। यानी बचा
सही,
सिर्फ
सही,
एफ अपॉन है which is pressure. देखो वही यूनिट आए जो
जी,
प्रेशर के यूनिट आए थे.
जी, सही.
ठीक है. Who wants to add what is the formula for charge?
Sir, charge
Current times
coulomb.
Charge, coulomb. Coulomb is the unit. Charge is
charge is equal to current times time.
current into time. Yes. तो चार्ज का फॉर्मूला होता है हमारे पास current into time. We need to recall the formula once again because this topic requires a solid grip over formula. Okay? If you don't know the formula, you won't be able to solve. Okay, beta. Current is a base quantity. That means it has base unit ampere. Time is a base quantity, base unit second. So charge as a base unit AS, ampere second. Now, tell me the actual formula of voltage. Not V equals to IR. Ohm's law के through नहीं, voltage का अपना formula. Anyone knows the actual formula for voltage? It's work done per unit charge. Okay. So break down work as F into D and charge as IT. Force as base unit kgms minus 2. Distance as meter. Current as ampere. Time as second. So kg. M into M. M square. ये s ऊपर जाके -1 होगा तो -2 -1 becomes -3 and ये a ऊपर आएगा तो a -1. This is the base unit of voltage. One more thing, if you were not in the orientation session, I told you that the same way we did for O levels, that I shared the workbooks with you all. The same way, AS में भी workbooks, but A levels की workbooks में past papers नहीं है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ वो workbook वाला content है. The reason I don't give past papers with AS because the content of past papers in AS is way too humongous as compared to O levels, which becomes a bit costly for you. So the best possible way you can have past papers is by purchasing the topical past papers of read and write publications. I don't have any commission associated with it. I just recommend those past papers because they are economical and the paper quality is good, the print quality is good, and they give you enough space to write down your answer. So these are the points which you will not find in Red Spot past papers. So that is why मैं इनको recommend करता हूँ. Even हर साल wherever I teach, भले वो online हो भले वो physical हो A levels, I do recommend the whole class should have the reading write publication past paper, so that when we are solving past paper, we can be aligned. Cool. Resistance. Anyone knows the formula for resistance? Now you can use Ohm's law. Formula for resistance.
Voltage divided by current.
Yes. R equals to V over I. So voltage should be broken down into work upon charge, while the current remained in the denominator. Work is further divided into F into D. Charge is divided into current into time, while this current remains same. Now, each and every quantity is familiar with us. We are familiar with these quantities. So, for force, kgms minus 2, for distance meter, for current, 2 मर्तबा current है, तो ampere square, for time second. Nothing in the denominator. This is same power add. kg m square s minus 2. ये वाला भी ऊपर जाएगा तो -1 एंड एम्पेयर जब ऊपर जाएगा तो a minus 2. This becomes kg m square s minus 3 a minus 2. ठीक है बेटा, तो ये हमारे पास रेजिस्टेंस के बेस यूनिट होगा. So you have these बेस यूनिट्स. जितने मुझे याद आए ना बेस यूनिट्स, जितनी क्वांटिटीज याद आई वो सारी मैंने आपको सॉल्व करवाई. उसके बाद आई हैव पोस्टेड सम पास्ट पेपर्स, तो इनको सॉल्व करते हैं जरा. ठीक है, लेकिन बिफोर दैट लेट मी नो इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेरीज अप टिल नाउ. Okay, Taha. What about the others? ठीक है. Good. So let's move ahead. And ये एक पास्ट पेपर है, पेपर 1. And let me tell you, A levels में you have to mention, sorry, you have to, what do we say, manage the discipline. क्योंकि A levels में बेइंतहा रिक्वायरमेंट है डिसिप्लिन. एंड व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय डिसिप्लिन? आज का टॉपिक हुआ है, कवर हुआ है. as soon as you get time before our second class, which will be on Monday, you have to revise whatever we have in this class. This is the key to success in A levels. Okay, discipline. वरना आपके हाथ में कुछ नहीं आएगा. ठीक है. A metal sphere of radius r, and solve as much past paper that as you can. Okay. A metal sphere of radius r is dropped into a tank of water. As it sinks at speed v, it experiences a drag force F given by F equals to KRV, where K is a constant. What are the SI base unit of K? तो रिकॉल करें स्टेप्स. पहला स्टेप क्या था? फॉर्मूला. तो इस फॉर्मूला के मुताबिक K का फॉर्मूला बनाए. कैसे बनेगा K का फॉर्मूला? F upon RB. Step number 1. Yes, F upon RB. Step number 2, simplify. We don't have to. फोर्स के बेस यूनिट हमें याद है kgms minus 2. ये R क्या है बेटा? रेडियस. इसके बेस यूनिट पता है मीटर. और V क्या है? स्पीड. इसके भी बेस यूनिट याद है ms minus 1. So what we'll do, we write down kg ms minus 2 upon meter ms minus 1. kg ऐसे ही रहा, ms minus 2 ऐसे ही रहा. मीटर एंड मीटर becomes मीटर स्क्वायर. ms minus 1 ऐसे ही रहा. इनको ऊपर लेकर आए. kg m, बेटा इसकी पावर थी हमारे पास 1, और जब ये ऊपर आएगा तो इसकी पावर होगी -2. ठीक है. सिमिलरली इसकी पावर है -2, और जब ये ऊपर आएगा तो इसकी पावर इनवर्स हो जाएगी, -1 है तो +1 हो जाएगा. नाउ kg m-1 s-1. This is the base unit of K. As simple as it. तो इस तरीके से आप लोगों को ये सवाल पेपर 1 में पूछे जाएंगे. तो I did nothing. The 4 steps I wrote, I just followed those steps. Formula, simplification, or replace the base quantities with base units, nothing in the denominator. This is it. Each are step. Let's do this question as well. A frictional force, no matter which force you are talking about, the base units are kg ms -2. On a sphere falling through fluid is given by the formula this, where a is the radius. अब यहाँ पे radius को a बोल दिया है. N or eta is constant. V is the velocity. What is the unit of eta? So if you observe this and this formula is same. How these two formulae are same? Let me rephrase. यहाँ पे 6 pi n is equivalent to k. और यहाँ पे a is equivalent to r. So I just wanted to show you guys एक सिंगल सवाल एग्जामिनर घुमा फिरा के किस तरह दे रहा है. ठीक है. सो 6 pi क्या है बेटा? ये नंबर्स, दे डोंट हैव एनी यूनिट. सिंप्लीफाई करें पहले. We need to find out the unit of n. F upon 6 pi av. F का बेस यूनिट है gs -2. 6 pi नंबर है, नो यूनिट. a क्या है बेटा? रेडियस, बेस यूनिट मीटर. जबकि v वेलोसिटी है, बेस यूनिट ms -1. सिंस आई टोल्ड यू इनका फॉर्मूला तो वो सेम ही बन रहा है ना. देखें यही स्टेप पे आ गए आप. These two steps are similar, so the end goal will also be similar. So here I have already explained how to break down it to your answer. I don't have to explain that again. So मैं directly इसका यही वाला आंसर लिख रहा हूँ kgm -1 s -1. And this is how आपके पास इस MCQ का B करेक्ट आंसर हो जाएगा. ठीक है बेटा. यहाँ पे क्लास को रोकेंगे हम. If you have any question, you need to ask or you need to add something, you can right now, you can do. Okay, beta. So now, yeah, somebody wants to add something?
सर मेरे पास कुछ क्वेश्चंस थे, वो मैं आपको भेज रहा हूँ, वही वेक्टर से रिलेटेड.
चलो आप मुझे भेजिए. Okay, beta. So in this first class, we completed one of the most important topic in whole AS, that is base units, how to break down the quantity in base units. So what I want is, if you have past paper, that is a very good thing. You need to solve as much past paper as you can on the topic base units. ठीक है. बाकी इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट क्लास में मैं भी आप लोगों को बहुत सारे सवाल पास्ट पेपर्स में से करवाऊंगा, so that this concept becomes concrete, because I hardly see any पेपर, स्पेशली पेपर 1, जिसके अंदर एग्जामिनर ने बेस यूनिट का सवाल ना पूछा हो. ठीक है. सो डिसिप्लिन, रिमेंबर, रिवाइज करिएगा बिफोर आवर सेकंड क्लास, व्हिच इज ऑन मंडे. सो बेटा ख्याल रखिएगा, दुआओं में याद रखिएगा। अल्लाह हाफिज।
सर मैंने आपको क्वेश्चन भेज दिया सर, आप यहीं पर ही अभी सॉल्व करवा दें।
अभी
पूरा
सॉल्व
फिजिक्स
करवा
आसान है सर, 5 वेक्टर्स के।